first, but it'll it'll come around.
In and out. In and out.
In and out. Yep.
All right, let's do this thing. Hello, Internets. I'm Joe.
I'm Eric.
And I have no more eardrums.
And you're listening to Just Cool Enough. And hey, always lean closer into the mic when someone's trying to record. You're like, hey, Kira, let's stop screaming. What? Lean closer? Lean closer?
No, I went away. I was like, hello.
I'm talking
with I'm Master Roshi. That's the way to do it.
Oh my gosh, Ike, let's just get into it. Your Master Roshi was impeccable.
It was weird though. People were treating me like Master Roshi, and it's like I would assume like going up to Mickey Mouse at like Disney World, where they're like trying to engage you and like as if you were the person. But it was weird. It was bizarre.
It was real shit. It was real weird too, because you cannot stand Dragon Ball Z and refuse to learn anything about it. So they were like talking to you, and you're like, this is just a character I play, not you know.
I don't know who's Master Roshi. That's.
Right, so just update the listeners here.
Ike's a fake gamer boy. I don't know if you knew this about him. He's a fake geek boy.
Why were you dressed up?
He only does it to get the attention of girls.
It worked. Not at all.
Why were you dressed up as Master Roshi? Why are we talking about you dressed up in comic?
There was Anime Boston happened this past weekend, and I needed something to come up with for a costume. So I decided, since I already own the shorts and owned plenty of Hawaiian shirts, because that's my daily outfit, might as well be Master Roshi.
I'm looking for a picture that just has you in it, so because we didn't ask
permission. It's one on Facebook. That was taken by a friend of mine.
Yeah, so it is good. I'm gonna find it. We're gonna put it online. Here it is. It's perfect. Okay, let's do this, a little bit of this. I've never seen the likeness like this. For our audio listeners, go to the site justcoolenough.com.
For our visual listeners, you can see how close he looks. For our audio listeners, he looks nothing like Master Roshi.
I mean, look at this guy. It's just like, it looks like Master Roshi is here. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by your skills, Ike. So
for our audio listeners, what you also don't see in the picture is that all the women who are like holding up signs that say "Please fuck me, Master Roshi," and then also Ike's dad saying, "I finally approve of your life."
Oh my god!
Actually, sadly, it was quite the opposite. He's like, "What did you do with your hair?" I'm like, I shaved it off. It was for a costume, and I was getting hot. And he's like, I prefer you with hair, but it's okay." And then he goes and messages my fiance. He's like, "I don't like his hair being gone."
Yeah.
Well, I have to agree with him. I just think you look better with hair, but the Master Roshi thing was worth it. It was really good.
Well, thank you. And while I was busy away doing that kind of stuff, what were you up to?
Well, I wanted to ask you what was it, because I've never cosplayed. I've never really thought about doing it. But what is it like being like? I've been to enough conventions. I've seen the people like just trying to walk around and not be able to go anywhere without people stopping you and taking a picture because your costume was good enough to warrant it. Because I'm sure there's if I started cosplaying, it wouldn't garner that much attention. But clearly you must have garnered attention. What was it like attending a convention where you really couldn't move around freely?
I think it was roughly, the math did out to about 400 pictures over the 9.5 hours I was walking around. It was definitely weird because usually when I go to nerd things, and I'm dressed up, but I'm also with my girlfriend who's dressed up, and she's a girl, so usually people want their picture taken with her, and I'm just chopped liver.
Girl, in fact, so
so
you don't stand a chance.
It was a role reversal where it was me going, "Here, can you hold my bags? Can you hold this so I can take a picture?"
So wait, you kept
every 3 feet.
You kept your bags over on your fiance?
Every 3 feet.
Master Roshi doesn't carry bags.
Every couple of feet. Oh, can I get a picture? Can I get a picture? Can I get a picture? And then like Amanda's like, I'm Bulma right now, and they're like, yeah, that's nice.
Get out of here, Bulma. This Master Roshi is on point.
Well, and that was making sure the door is closed. That was kind of what it was. Like a few times, people were like, "Oh, it's Bulma and Roshi. Can we get your picture?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure," but she didn't think her costume was good enough, so she didn't want to get her picture taken a few times. And then other times, like, "Hey, Mr. Roshi, can we get a picture?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and I got Bulma here, and they look at him like, "Oh,
that's nice."
Okay.
Ouch! Ouch! Can Bulma take the picture?
Actually, that happened once. Like there was a girl. Can I take a picture with you, Master Roshi? And I'm like, yeah, sure. But Amanda misunderstood and came to try to get in the picture with me. And the girl was trying to hand her the camera.
Oh my gosh.
And so there's this weird like interaction. The girl's like, I guess I'll take a selfie with both of you. Yeah, that's it. Like, you're cramping my style, lady.
So you should. I mean, what did she dress up as Bulma the whole time? Was it constantly her just carrying your bags?
It was Bulma on Friday, and then we went on Saturday. She just dressed up as kind of a steampunky World War II fighter pilot.
Okay, cool. Did you stayed Master Roshi the whole time?
Of course.
So were you able
after
to
the first day? I was like, why wouldn't I want to do this again for a second day? Look at all the attention I'm getting.
So this is like your time to shine, essentially. Did you get into character at all? Were you saying some sweet Master Roshi lines? Were you
I don't have really dirty good Master Roshi voice. I was like saying it really low, and people kept asking me things like, "Where do you keep all the dirty magazines, Master Roshi?" And I'm like, I know I can't do a great Master Roshi voice, so I was just like, shh. What's the meaning of life, Master Roshi?
Punch yourself in the face until you start bleeding out of the nose. And then fall over.
Did anybody ask you what your power level was or anything?
No, but somebody asked me to teach them a Kamehameha. Somebody else asked me to take me on as their student.
All you really need to do Master Roshi is just go hee.
I don't know, but then I sound like a Pillsbury Doughboy when I do it. So
yeah.
Same difference. All right, so that sounds like you had an awesome week.
Oh, and I bought Sword Art Online for more money than it was.
You bought it? Why would you buy Sword Art Online? You could just stream it.
I run an anime club at school, and our internet is running 20-year-old infrastructure on Cat 5s, and I can't even stream a YouTube video without it cutting out halfway through. So I was like, okay. I had my kids vote, and they're like, we're going to go Sword Art. I'm like, okay, can't be that bad. I mean, I just bought Tokyo Ghoul for $50 for 12 episodes. No, this is $40 for 7 episodes. I bought the entire season 1 for $160.
Oh wow!
Whoa.
You know, you can steal things from the internet. Like that's a totally viable option.
We don't condone it. Yeah,
but a season of a television show should not be more than $30. You know.
Yeah, like I can get the entire 30 episodes of Dragon Ball. Granted, it's 30 years old at this point for $30, so it's $1 an episode. I told my students, I'm like, we all agreed that we're only ever going to watch one season, but that some of them have never seen Sword Art. They'd only gone off what they had heard from other people. So I'm like, well, I bought this for $160. If you like it or not, we're watching the whole thing.
Yeah, we're actually going to watch it twice and once in reverse. Like, you really got to get all the mileage you can out of that.
I did that with Star Wars, the original trilogy, where Luke learned that Vader was his father and then forgot it. It was a good time.
I think that was well. Okay, Eric, you also had a week. Our weeks were semi-connected, right?
Well, yeah, and then before that, I went to Big Bear over the past week or 2 weeks ago because we didn't get a proper show. Big Bear it's a Big Bear Lake. It's about 2.5 hours from where I live. It's crazy living in Los Angeles because in the same day I can go skiing and surfing if I decide I want to, which is great. But yeah, a friend of the show, Eric Sandberg, was having his bachelor party weekend. We rented out a cabin in Big Bear, drove up there, and basically just stayed there. And it was crazy because we play video games all the time. We play board games all the time. Our friend Dustin from back in WoW Radio days flew in, which is great to hang out with him and see him. And we got to just sit in this cabin and play. I wasn't sure what kind of games we were going to play. We ended up just playing a lot of local co-op, which was great because I never get to play those games, and they're amazing. We played a fuckload of this game, Gang Beasts, which I'm sure there's 1.5 billion YouTube videos.
Beast is awesome!
It's so fun and stupid.
Have fun screen looking. It doesn't matter. You're going to die.
Oh, we also played Screen Sheet, which is great. It's like a GoldenEye style first-person shooter where it's split screen and you can't see anybody else's avatar, so you have to screen sheet in order to play it. Like you have to be watching, looking over at their screen to see where they are, and it's particularly hard when there's 6 of you. There's a lot of real estate taken away by other people's screens. Yeah, but we played that and a number of other fun and also not fun local multiplayer games. We played. I finally got a chance to play Dead of Winter, which I've had for like a year and bought for like $50. The board game, which was God, I don't think I like that game. It's just too. I like it, but there's just too much. There's just too much going on. It's not just that it's complicated. There's just so many different moving parts that it's like just hard to pay attention to because it's like pandemic, but also like three other things on top of it that are just annoying to deal with. So I was like, fuck, I don't think I like this game. I've been like wanting to play this for a year, and yeah, it was interesting just being in this cabin, like doing all this stuff. I kind of want to talk about drug use, but I don't know how comfortable I am. But
I mean, like, I know that there was a guy that looked a lot like you that may have done some drugs.
yeah.
And I mean, he looked a lot like you. Definitely wasn't.
Also,
but
my mom listens to the podcast, so but yeah. So there was a lot of booze which I didn't partake in, and there was also marijuana, which I may have partaken in, which I don't. I've done marijuana a handful of times in my life. It's fine.
Why would you say marijuana? It sounds like a PSA from the 80s.
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to warn people, and this is a story I'm sure people have heard 1,000 times. Just don't ever, whenever somebody has pot brownies, just don't. Just don't. Just never do it. Just never do it, because it's never fun. Because I was like, it was Saturday. It was our first. It was like 24 hours. We're gonna be like, we arrived Friday. It's sort of mid-afternoon and stuff like that, and had fun. And then Saturday was like, well, we're not going anywhere all day, so I feel very comfortable. Like I don't have to worry about. I don't have to get in my car and drive anywhere, or drive home, or anything. I'm here. I might as well have some of this pot brownie, And I knew from past experience, don't have a lot, but still, it was too much.
Ate a tray.
It was like half a piece, like what you would think of a like if somebody
like
handed
what
you
you would
a
give a
brownie.
child. What would you?
Yeah.
You the same dose you give a baby.
Yeah, and then I had like half of that, and 3 hours, nothing at all. At the 3-hour mark, hits me like a fucking Mack truck, and I just have to lay down, like not sleep, but just lay down and not move for I don't know how long, probably hours, maybe minutes. Time no longer made sense anymore. I just had to lay there, and I couldn't do anything, and it was just the worst. And I was like, why? Why did I do this? This is fucking awful. I hate it. I hate everything about this. And then it slowly recovered by the end of the night. But yeah, it was like 2 in the afternoon, and then just suddenly I was like, oh fuck, I am too high. I am too high.
Meanwhile, I'm texting Eric like, hey Eric, I need some important information.
No, I was like, it just started to hit me, and I was like, oh, I can't right now. And then Joe's wife texts me, hey, we just got to In-N-Out. What's the secret menu? What should we order? And I was like, duh, put my phone away. I can't right now. So that was an experience.
Thanks for all the In-N-Out help, expert.
I was just like, I thought I was being like, I was like choosing my words carefully, and like, are you gonna go to sleep? I was like, no, I just need to lay down like face first because the room is spinning and I can't deal. Apparently, I was really incoherent. I didn't think so.
You remember saying these things, but everybody else remembers more.
Yeah, they remember a lot more incoherence from me. I was like apparently trying, like there was I was behind the couch while they were on the couch playing like Duck Game on Steam, which is a fun multiplayer game, and I was like trying to chime into the conversations, I guess, but apparently I was not nearly as coherent as I thought I was. So that was I want to say fun. It wasn't fun.
I tell you what was fun. That special episode we did last week without Ike.
Yeah,
that's always fun when you do things without me.
No, the fun part was like, and Ike, you and I had the same experience when we were just together recording on the H6 and kind of putting together the episode. There's just such a dynamic that we get in person that we unfortunately just can't get over Skype. That was a lot of fun. Our live chat room, Brady in the live chats. If you want to be part of the live chat, you can. JustCoolEnough.com/live. He was kind of typing out what happened, and he just says, "Get out!" And then he says, "I'm 30." So that reminded me of you, Eric, on the fun we had last week. Well, we had
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, because he hasn't actually specifically said, last week Joe traveled to Los Angeles, and
That's how the locals say it.
and yeah, that's exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced. And we got to meet up the Sunday night. I got back from Big Bear. He came to my improv show, and then we had some Thai food. And then
Okay, let's stop there. That part was weird. There was weirdness there, and that's what I was commenting because Ike and I were talking.
I didn't know. Yeah, I recognize that because I didn't know what you wanted from me. Like I was like,
what do you want from me?
I was like, yeah, I did my show. I normally sort of hang out with people sometimes, or go home. Like I was like, I don't know what the next. You're like, so we're here. What do we do? And I was like, fucking, I don't know. Like, what do you want to do?
Well, we can eat. Eating's good.
I was like, good. And then we can go to one of the many places that are within walking distance of where we are. But yeah, and then Wednesday we got to take a tour of the Blizzard offices, which was fantastic. And we covered all of this, and we created a little mini podcast last week, which you can find on this feed or at justcoolenough.com, where you can hear us talk about our adventures. But it was funny. We were like on the way back, and we're like, he's like, yeah, we can totally do the show. I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And then we were like driving back, and it was like, yeah, it doesn't look like we could do the show, like get to some place to do the show, but it would be like no, we're just not gonna
not even up to our standards. It would have just been too many variables, too many things. We might have been able to pull it off. It just wasn't going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but that's
going up the 405, desperately heading towards where you were staying, and we're like, yeah, it just does not seem like it's gonna work.
Not gonna.
But at least, we never talked about the Indian food too. We ate some good Indian food.
Oh yeah, that was all right. So yeah, we hung out. I had probably one of the best weeks of my life. I know I said I peaked last year and I wasn't gonna peak at all this year. I was just gonna lay low. So I started laying low by going to a excellent Blizzard meetup and meeting a bunch of great people. And realizing that the game industry is amazing and Blizzard's a great company and all that cool stuff. Thank you, Christina,
so what you're saying
for letting us
back to WoW.
No, actually, the total opposite. I actually subscribed to a game called Black Desert Online.
I've been thinking about getting into that. Since
Eric, we just started a guild.
My computer might actually be functional.
I have like maybe 9-10 hours of playtime. We're like, this is a good time to get in with me. And we have a guild going already. Scotty's playing, my brother's playing. We got a bunch of people. Black Desert Online, fun game. I'll talk about that a little bit. This week was amazing, though. Went to San Francisco, drove some amazing roads. I got to do 2 podcasts. Guys, this happened to me where I went on a podcast called The Smoking Tire, hosted by Matt Farah, Chris Hayes, Zach Clapman. And I got to meet basically, some of my podcasting heroes, right? And also, I got to be on the Hooniverse podcast, 2 car podcasts that I've been listening to, both of them since day one. So I recorded shows with these guys. It was amazing. You can go check it out. I linked it over on justcoolenough.com. It was a good time. I barely got to talk cars because these guys are so much better at carring than I am and automobiling. But I did crack some good jokes and had a good time. Also, got to meet really amazing auto journalist Carlos Lago, who's worked for Edmunds and Motor Trend and all these great publications and is currently looking for a job now. But it was just mind-blowingly crazy to be in the studio with these guys. But this thing happened to me where I got done with that thing, and I'm like, well, now fucking what? What do I do now? Like, the whole reason I was podcasting and doing stuff was so I could hang out with those guys. I went to his house. I got to drive Matt Farah's million-mile Lexus and dropped it off at his house. He offered me coffee and stuff. We kind of talked for a little bit. I thought that was great. And, well, now what? I got to hang out with Chris Hay. What do you do once you meet the people that you like?
Never slit your wrists. You made it.
What? That's it? Like what? I don't know what to do next. What? I feel accomplished, but then now I need to find a new target. Like I need to latch on to something else. So it's just kind of a weird feeling because it was such a good week, especially the Blizzard tour, capping it off and hanging out with Eric. What do you do?
So who's more fun to hang out with, me or Eric?
You guys are both unique and special in your own special ways.
I would say I fulfill him artistically. I take him to improv shows that make him think.
Yeah, and then Ike fulfills me sexually.
Yeah, I mean we eat. We eat. I mean, like when he's with me, when he's with his dad, like when he was with Fun Dad, we go to art shows and we eat interesting cultural foods and stuff like that. Whereas when he's with you, it's just
Actually, I have. It's like two Fun Dads. Like Ike buys me Legos, and you're over here like taking me to burrito places in Venice Beach. I have like the best kind of little divorce thing that happened. So
don't forget Cronuts. We also went to SK Donuts and got Cronuts.
Yeah, that was great too. Cronuts. Yeah, it's cool having two fun podcast dads.
But did you happen to try what is a burrito out of a vending machine?
No.
That was a while ago, but.
Yeah, I always think about that, but I never go there because I forget about it, and
it takes an hour to get anywhere.
Yeah, and also there's so many fantastic burrito places here that like why would I want it? If it were like within walking distance, I would absolutely get a vending machine burrito. But if I have to drive there, then fuck it.
So it was amazing. But I had an experience on the plane. And I got to sit next to two people that were first-time flyers. Kids. I mean, they were maybe 20 years old. Maybe. And this is the first time on the plane. They're from Ohio, in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, not even like a main city. And this is their first time on the plane. I walked into the aisle, and they shook my hand. They're like, hello, sir. Hello, sir. They both shook my hand. And I like sat down because I had the window seat and the other guys had the center and the aisle seat. And they proceeded to kind of like interview me. And I'm thinking back to my first flight and how nervous I was and how I just wanted to kind of talk to somebody who knew a little bit more about flying than I did just to get an idea. And these guys were like, they were a little bit scared, a little bit excited because they were going to California for the first time. This was their first time on a plane. And I had like, they're asking me all these questions and then I realized, holy shit. I'm the old guy. Like I went from new guy to veteran young guy to old guy in the course of like 20 seconds in my mind as these two kids that are in the middle of their college studies and they're asking me for advice. I'm like, why the fuck are you asking me for advice? I have no clue.
You're the old guy.
I'm the old guy now. I'm the old guy that knows about the planes and about the flying and.
Well, they haven't reached that age where you figure out that people older than you haven't figured it out.
Right.
Like, when you're young, you think at some point you're going to figure this shit all out and you're going to become an adult. And then once you realize you technically are an adult, you go, oh, fuck, nobody's actually an adult. That's just a made-up concept.
I think that's a train of thought that you never really completely outgrow. Like, you recognize it, but at the same time, I still catch myself every so often going, you know what, maybe I'll ask my parents, and realizing, yeah, there might be 60, 70, but they don't necessarily have everything figured out.
Right.
Either.
I mean, everybody, and this is one mistake that I used to make. Just because someone's an expert in one area does not mean they're an expert in all areas.
No, I'm an expert in art, which makes me expert at everything.
Are you telling me that just because someone's an expert brain surgeon, they don't make for a good presidential candidate?
I'm just saying that might
be the case. Douchebag that they would make for an expert.
I mean, douchebag. Yeah, you can say that. It's just weird. It's just weird to once you get that nugget of knowledge that you were just talking about, where you realize that nobody has it figured out, and you can talk to as many people in the world, and that's great. It broadens your horizon, but nobody has it figured out, and everybody's just kind of struggling. And that was the moment I had there. I'm like, I just told them that. I'm like, well, this is what I'm doing right now. They have their plan. Oh, I'm going to do this in real estate. I'm going to do this. And I'm looking at them like, oh, how quaint you and your
yeah, sure, kid. You'll go far.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, call me when you get there, kid, kind of thing. The best plans they can come up with now. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty solid. Make sure you work those connections. And I felt like I had wisdom. I felt like I was paper thin. I felt it was just really a point where a spot to think about where I am and where I'm going and what am I telling the youth. So Ike, I was wondering if do you feel like that ever when these kids are asking you questions? Because you're a teacher, you deal with this stuff all the time.
It's a bizarre feeling because there are points where I'm like, and I know I've kind of said it before, I can use the language, I can play the games, and I can relate on a level that they're on because we're all human beings. But at the same time, they look to me like I'm older, and so when I use the language, they treat me like I'm a fool because old people don't speak like we do, and you're too old for that. And I'm like, but I'm really not, and if you just understand where the line is between how much you think I know and how much I actually know, you realize that there's a large discrepancy.
See, the problem is you never come in as cool professor. You're never wearing a jean jacket and sitting in your chair backwards and like, hey, call me Ike. Mr. Dodge is my father. Man, you see that page in the book? Rip that page out. Throw that book out the window. Like you've never been.
You need those kids standing up on their desk and saying, "Oh, Captain, my Captain."
Yeah.
You need to take this to the next level. Get in there. You know, and you know what?
But I'm like, hey, have you played Call of Duty, Mr. Dodge? Yeah, I played Call of Duty. That's awesome. And your eyebrows are on fleek. Mr. Dodge, don't say that.
No, what you have to do is when they're like, do you play Call of Duty? You don't say, yeah, I play Call of Duty to relate. You say, Call of Duty? That game's for fucking babies. And then you're like I Battlefield 4 or nothing.
Yeah, because when you're a kid, there's like lines in the sand because you have the allegiance that your parents buy for you. You're either a PlayStation or an Xbox kid. You're either the guy who gets the Choco Taco or the WWF bar. You're
Call
like,
of Duty.
there's
Go
allegiance.
play Minecraft, you baby. Play a really good game.
Like Legos.
Yeah.
But I had a kid yesterday. In fact, he was like talking to me, and he's like, "How do you do this thing?" I'm like, "I don't know. How do you do this thing?" And he's like, "I don't know. You're the teacher." I'm like,
"Oh." He just drops out of the call. I'm like, "Bye, kid."
That's how he answers. It's like, "How do you do this thing?" And then he disappears.
Yep, it was a cliffhanger. Where you? But I was like, why don't you figure out how to do the thing and teach me? He was like, but I don't get paid for that. You do, so you teach me how to do it.
Is that what he said? He's like, listen,
Yes.
buddy, I pay your salary. You're teaching me how to do this thing. That's kind of ballsy, right?
It is, but I was like, why can't you teach me? I mean, you don't realize as a student how much I learn from you every day or how much any other teacher learns from students every day. You just don't know that we're learning from
you. You were hungover. That's what that is. Oh, yeah. You want them to watch the movie on TV because it's like relates to the subject. No, you just had a hangover, so it was movie day.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird when you start looking back at it.
I love that though. You're like, I really respected his opinion, but because he tried to usurp my power, I fail him whenever I get a chance. Because I'm a teacher and I'm petty.
So, do you guys have you friended any of your teachers that you had in your past?
No.
On Facebook or any other social media?
Only improv teachers.
Yes.
Only improv teachers for you?
Yeah, I don't have friends. The weirdest though is like a couple of like people from like my Boy Scouts added me on Facebook. But like it's not like we ever talk like or anything like that.
They just kind of keep track of you.
I guess I don't know. If I ever see them like pop up in my feed, I unfollow their feed if it seems distracting. But like yeah, I don't know. It's like my old Scoutmaster and like one of the other like Scout guys like added me on Facebook, I think, at one point. But yeah, no teachers. So let's conversation over. Now that because I don't relate to it, we can't talk about it.
I mean, I guess we could talk about how you guys both are cosplaying. Well, I cosplayed, and you're cosplaying Buzz Lightyear right now.
No, I'm just wearing a hoodie.
Buzz Lightyear. That's what I was gonna say, but then
but tell us your stories about being besties with your teachers.
Well, did you look for them or did they look for you? Did you just jump on Facebook and you're like, I respect this guy, I'm gonna search him out, or I respect this gal?
It was that the latter. It was like there's some teachers, not all of them, that I was like, it'd be really cool to be, and they're mostly college professors, and I was like, I'm gonna go friend them, and some of them don't have it, and some of them were like, I don't know if I should be friends with a student. Or a former student, and they ended up giving in because I'm like, well, I'm out of there now. But on the flip side, I've had plenty of my own students come try to friend me as well.
Yeah, but you can't do that because you're teaching the children.
And that's what I tell them. I'm like, when you're no longer my student or going to my school, I will
Do
think
you
about
have
friending
like that one like principal or that one teacher that has to friend them so that you can see every time they talk about drugs so you can expel them?
you. No.
He's not allowed to comment.
Okay. But yeah, I've never done that. The weirdest though is this kid I knew growing up named Casey, who it's weird because like it was like elementary school, just like the like first grade to I think by fourth grade he moved away. But it's weird because it's like that time where like everything's important to that time, even though it was so long ago and such a short period of time. And then he added me on Facebook a couple of years ago, and it's weird because like 20 plus years since we saw each other, like fourth grade, but for some reason we still like I knew exactly who he was. It was like when his name popped up, and he clearly knew who I was because he searched for me, and like he like also friended like mutual friends who like were like part of the group of friends from like fourth grade, friends that I like kept in touch with until after high school and still a little bit. But like he was like that kid, he was the first to move away, and it was like only for like we only knew him for like 3 years, but for some reason we'd still have that connection. I don't ever understand that connection.
I have a buddy like that his name's also Joe. He lives out in Arizona. He's a Subaru guy, and he does all these mods to his car. And I feel like it's kind of like when Christina and I met. Christina, our friend of the show, Christina. I've never actually met her in real life. Picked right up when we saw her, and it was not weird at all. Eric. and same thing with this Joe kid. It's just
well, in my defense, Christina didn't just pour her heart out on stage and then have her coach tell her all the things that she did wrong, and then talk to her buddy about, then talk to you about like, hey, how's it going?
I'm not concerned about your feelings, so that's something you have to take into consideration.
Yeah.
Sorry, I might have. Oh, there was a lot of talk.
I'm sorry, I'm not always on for you.
It wasn't about being always on. I'm kind of overplaying how funky it was. It was actually just like two people that know each other for a long time. That's the weird part. We talk so much that same thing with Ike and I when we kind of just sat there, we're like, hey.
Yeah, it's like
all right. What are you gonna do? We know each other really well.
I haven't seen you in years, except for every week over the internet, at least once, maybe twice.
Think about this. Listeners, think about this. We've probably spent 600 hours together between all of us individually, 500, 600 hours together at least, right? Like between the games we've played, between the shows we do. That's a decent amount of time.
Yeah. And like I was worried, like because we had a very long car rides together, and I was like, are we gonna run out of shit to talk about? Luckily, Sarah's there, and I don't know Sarah nearly as well as I know you, so I plenty to talk about with her. Also, if next time you see her, thank her for the suggestion of the Trader Joe's croissants. Those are fucking amazing.
Right? Did you leave them out?
Yeah, you have to. You're supposed to. That's part. But yeah, I went out, like I went to see Batman versus Superman, and in the theaters right across the street from like a Trader Joe's. So I picked them up because I was in the area, and then I made them that morning, and they were fantastic. So much so, my mom went out to another Trader Joe's and bought the other flavor. Like she bought more of the regulars, and then also the almond and chocolate croissants. We've had the almonds, which were fantastic. We're gonna have the chocolate ones. They're great. I mean,
they're the only ones that seriously, unless you find a better one, let me know, because they're the only ones in the U.S. that taste just the slice of flavor.
Yeah, they're the closest to a French croissant I've had
not the same,
in America.
Yeah, but it's close, and then you could eat it right when it comes out. If you let them sit around, they turn to shit. You can't let them sit around.
I mean, no. You're fucking kidding me? Yeah, food sits around. You've met me.
Yeah, I remember the toffee story.
I was actually really happy. We had burritos when we saw each other, and it was massive burritos because it's Los Angeles, they're huge, and I didn't finish. I mean, I basically finished, but I technically didn't finish my burrito, like on purpose, because I knew we were getting cronuts. There's still there's like 3 mouthfuls left of burrito.
Right, which was plenty of room for the cronut.
Yeah.
And Eric convinced me not to finish either. We both didn't finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
And we got to see like I told him like Venice Beach, you will see things you not. And I don't know, did you see it? I don't think you saw it, but Sarah saw it. This guy spilt his drink at the burrito place, which that was sucks. And then like he sat down, he was like, fuck it, I don't need that soda. And then like this homeless guy just bent down and started like slurping it off the ground.
Off the ground. I saw like I didn't realize what was happening. I'm like, why is that guy on the ground? And he was just getting up. I'm like, what the hell? Did he fall?
I saw him like straight up like lay down, like go prone, like kiss the ground and slurp it up.
Weird.
Hey, you don't waste free soda when you go down to Electric Avenue. It's still with me. I will die. My last thoughts will be that the four homeless guys playing one pie tin and singing Electric Avenue.
It was so good. I wish we could have recorded just a snippet of it for the listeners, but you know, sometimes memories are just your own and no one else's, and those.
It's like improv. It happened for just the people in that room, and it only existed in that moment, and it will never happen again. You can't recreate it. It's ethereal. It just happened, and it's gone now.
I think that's just such a beautiful message, Eric.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were talking about Batman versus Superman. Did you see this, Ike?
I have not yet. I have not heard good things about it, but that hasn't stopped me from wanting to go at least experience it.
Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
I was convinced that I was going to see this movie like on an airplane or something or on Netflix.
I would say wait. I mean, I'm such a Batman fanatic. I had to see it, even though I knew it was going to be terrible. All the reviews. I will say it's not as bad as the reviews. I mean, I think the reviews are. It's one of those things where it's not good. It's a bad movie, but there's that like. Once it's like universally accepted, it's a garbage movie. There's like that race to the bottom, who can write the most scathing review and have the most catchy headline, bullshit that I hate. But it's a fundamentally mediocre movie that has some really interesting parts. Like the fucking opening of like Ben Affleck as like just like driving through Metropolis as Superman. It's like the fight scene at the end of Man of Steel, but from Bruce Wayne's perspective, like watching all the buildings come down. That's fucking amazing. That's such a great way to open a movie. But yeah, it had some interesting plot elements, some terrible plot elements. It shoehorns a lot of bullshit that it didn't need to do, and it's just fundamentally a mediocre movie. I wish of the top 5 things I hate about this movie, the lowest on that list is that Batman kills a bunch of people. Like, that's how bad the movie was to me, that Batman murdering people wasn't even the biggest problem I had with it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't even know what to think anymore.
Yeah, it's not awful. You can sit and watch it and not hate it probably. I mean, if you'll watch it and be like, "Oh, that was a movie." Like, I would say just wait for it to be on video, because it's not worth seeing in the theater.
Ike, you said that you weren't dead set on seeing it in the theater. Do you plan on seeing it at all?
I mean, like I said, I know it's not going to be the greatest. I like Batman, though. I wouldn't mind going and checking it out. I'm just kind of trying to treat it like I would Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah, I will say Ben Affleck plays a great Batman. He was a great cast for Batman. He's great at it. And what they give him, he does as well as he can. I think there's only really 2 fights besides the Batman versus Superman fight where you get to see Batman be Batman, and they're both pretty interesting.
I don't know. There's I've been talking about for a few episodes now. I'm just kind of over the superhero thing, and this is just another example of why I'm just. It was the movie phoned in. Was it bad directing?
No, it's not.
Do you know?
It wasn't that it was phoned in. It was that they
just a bad plot altogether.
They're doing it backwards. It's like if Marvel released there's Wonder Woman's in it. She's been in all the trailers. And by the way, that trailer they released that everyone hated because they said it gave away the whole movie. It gave away the whole movie. If you've seen that trailer, you've seen the whole movie. But there's that shot in all the trailers where Wonder Woman shows up and stuff and fights. It's like, imagine the Avengers, you're watching the Avengers and the part where Thor shows up and starts fighting everybody. Imagine that, but they hadn't released a Thor movie yet. Like, you're like, wait, who the fuck's this? Like, I know who Thor is because I read comics, but it's like, who the fuck's this lady? Like, why? Like, she was great, but she didn't need to be in it. There's all this, like, they hint towards the Justice League movie coming, which
That's what I heard she was in there for, was to...
Yeah, but they hint to all the other Justice League characters like Flash and Cyborg and one other, and Aquaman, but it's the laziest way to hint to it. It's literally somebody watching clips on fucking, like, Wonder Woman watching clips on, like, fucking YouTube of the Flash, and it just they're trying so hard to set up the universe too quickly, because Marvel took its fucking time, and it's a movie with a lot of great ideas, but they don't take any time to play with them.
Aren't they kind of in a rush?
Yeah, they're trying to catch
totally
up with
in a
Marvel.
rush. They're trying to catch up way too quickly. If they
Quick,
take their time-
establish a universe as fast as possible.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
I love hearing your critiques of the movies because it actually makes me want to see the movies, and it gives me some skin in the game, if you will, because it's like, oh, okay, then I can talk to Eric about it.
Yeah, I thought about like I literally came out of this movie and wrote down a bunch of shit I was gonna do with like one of those YouTube videos where you talk about like how I would fix the thing, and then I realized like a billion people are gonna have better opinions, so then I was trying to think of like the comedic way, and then I just ended up doing that tweet about which is my favorite tweet in a while, where I said my biggest problem with I'll just open it up on Twitter so I can read it verbatim. My biggest problem with Batman vs Superman is Lois is dating both Superman and that nerdy reporter with the glasses, and it's never addressed. So that was like I was like, I need to make a video about this movie, and then it's like, well, I can't just do a video. I need to do a comedic video. Nah, fuck it, I'll just make a tweet.
So, I like how
it's a lot less effort.
Yeah.
It's a lot less effort. Less writing.
I mean, like, oh, that's all the creativity I had anyway.
Basically, Batman and Superman, his review.
I got a lot more positive feedback from that one tweet than I would have any YouTube video I would have made.
That's true. If you would have released a YouTube video, it'd get like 4 views and like 1 thumbs up from me.
No, I also I posted it on Facebook as well, and I got a lot of likes, like way more likes than anything I've ever posted before, and I got like 22 likes and like a bunch of comments, and I'm like, oh, sweet. That's fulfilling.
I'm just gonna write text now.
Yeah.
We should just annotate the whole podcast.
I would have to say the most Facebook post, the most likes I've ever gotten on a Facebook post was when I proposed to Amanda, and we put it on there. And you got a bazillion people who congratulate you. The second highest post I've ever gotten for likes, and it's over 100, so I was super shocked, was Master Roshi.
Oh yeah, man. That
doesn't surprise me.
That really doesn't surprise me. It's good.
Happy
good
birthday!
content.
Nope, not as many as likes as Master Roshi.
Is there a place you could check how many likes top your like chart?
I'm sure there's like a website like topposts.biz or whatever like where you can check
like topping my like meter. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna let them access my profile, so. Whatever.
Yeah. Can we have all of your personal information and access everything?
Sure. I want to know this one obscure fact that means nothing. You can have all my personal information, like the
Thanks,
app.
Time Hop.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, yeah. Have fun. Everybody on Time Hop is signed up for like 17 different magazine subscriptions now.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Oh my gosh. So. Let's do a couple plugs right now. We have a plug to read out about Shout Engine. If you want to start your own podcast, you can at shoutengine.com for 5 minutes. It only takes 5 minutes and it's totally free. Shoutengine.com, start a podcast. If you're listening to this and you want to start a podcast, just go there. Just do it. And we also want to shout out to Alpha Geek Radio for letting us do the live streaming. And you can check out lots of good shows over on Alpha Geek TV, Alpha Geek Radio, and you can actually watch this on Roku because Alpha Geek. Do you know that, guys?
No.
Yeah, you can. You can watch us on PS4. We're live on the Alpha Geek stream. So, one theory that one of my friends brought up was the fact that as we all know, about to do a big Star Wars spoiler for The Force Awakens. So, just in case you didn't see it, your ears, or you might as well just leave the rest of the show.
What you're saying.
So, Han Solo was a ghost the whole time,
Mhm.
right? Like, everybody knows that. So, the thing that happened to Harrison Ford at the end was unfortunate. But we found out that there's a new Indiana Jones movie coming out, right?
Ugh.
Did you hear about this, right?
I've seen the headlines. I've not read about it.
So my friend in the chat, also he goes as Blazer33X. He brought up the fact that maybe Harrison Ford is doing a big round of swan songs, and he's just gonna get killed off in every movie.
I mean,
I thought this was a really good idea.
That's interesting, but Indiana Jones can't die in an Indiana Jones movie. That's a stupid idea.
Wait, well, I mean, maybe Shia LaBeouf is going to be new Indiana Jones.
They already did the swan song. They did the last movie was him getting married and Shia LaBeouf picking up the hat, but that movie was garbage.
Well, they can retcon it. I'm just saying, like, I think it'd be cool if a movie star went around to all their movies when they're older and was like, "Listen, I'm done acting. I did
kill
my
off
thing."
all the franchise.
Yeah, and they kill off all
They
the.
try that all the time. They get Jeremy Renner to play to play in the movie, and then they're like, the next one's going to totally star Jeremy Renner, and then nobody sees then nobody likes Jeremy Renner, even though he's a great actor. I don't see why he does it. But that was like Mission Impossible 4. That was like Ghost Protocol was setting it up so that he could be the next Mission Impossible, but instead. They didn't. They did the next one. They did Rogue Nation, and he's barely in that one. He's just like. Then they did like the Bourne movie where he was trying to replace Jason Bourne, and now they're just doing another Bourne movie with Matt Damon. Like I don't understand why Jeremy Renner can't get his due. Like he's great.
Yeah, he's like the substitute teacher of movies.
Yeah, he's like they try and like put him in places. I mean, he's no. It's not like he's Taylor Kitsch and he's garbage, or Jai Courtney and he's mega garbage. Like he's good. He's in a lot of great movies, and he always enhances. He's a fantastic as Hawkeye. I don't see why he'd
probably be a good Indiana Jones.
Nah, I don't know. There was that talk of putting Chris Pratt in there.
I think Chris Pratt's the new Jeremy Renner.
No, because Chris Pratt gets his own solo movies, and they do fantastic.
I think they do Guardian, right?
Well, no, because he did Guardians, he did Jurassic World. Like he's now a movie star. You know.
He went from The Office to the movies.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so likable, though. How can you not like him?
Yeah.
I'm like, Jurassic World shit, but man, good for him.
Yeah, it's like
reaction with Guardians. I'm like, oh, this is a great movie. Good for Chris Pratt. I really like that. I feel like he's like somebody that I knew in a dorm. I'm like, oh, that guy.
See, and that's how I feel
man,
about Jeremy Renner.
Guy.
That's how I feel about Jeremy Renner, because back in the early 2000s, there was a show on Bravo about struggling actors trying to make it in New York, and there was like they profiled a couple of actors, one of which is the girl who plays. She's one of the main characters on the show Vikings now. But Jeremy Renner was one of them. He was like one of the struggling actors in New York trying to make it. And then like a year or two after that came out, he was like the bad guy in that movie SWAT, which wasn't very good, but I liked it because I was like, oh, I like him as a person. And I'm excited. And then he started like doing more and more stuff, and I'm like excited. I mean, Jeremy Renner's fine. It's not like he needs work. I'm sure he's perfectly happy with what's going on with his life and his career.
Well, I mean,
and he's not struggling in the slightest. I just feel like he does great as sidekick stuff, and he just hasn't ever been able to get a good like solo role with him. You know,
why not just be the sidekick? I mean,
I'm sure he's. I mean,
it's kind of. Think of it like this: when you're like in a job, if you're just the sidekick the whole time, you really don't have that much responsibility, and you know, like if something fails, it's really not your fault. It's kind of the best thing. You don't have any of that responsibility that a big star has. Like, oh man, if this movie sucks, it's all your fault, Chris Pratt. But if Jeremy Renner shows up, it is a supporting role. It doesn't matter if it sucks or not. It's just Jeremy Renner shows up. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, he's certainly not hurting for work or money, so I'm sure he's fine with it.
Think of how many times TBS chose SWAT.
But seriously, we finally got around to stop putting Taylor Hitch in stuff. So can we not put Jai Courtney in everything? Like, why is Jai Courtney in everything?
I gotta look up Jai Courtney. What is this person?
Think about a movie that's terrible, and Jai Courtney's in. He was in the last Die Hard movie. He played Bruce Willis's son. He was in the.
I don't even know how to spell Jai Courtney. How do you
Doesn't
spell
matter.
it?
It's not worth learning how to spell it. He was in the Terminator reboot-ish thing as Kyle Reese. He was in all the things that are terrible. That stop putting Jai Courtney in movies. Like.
Oh man, yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Like, because Taylor Hitch, they stopped putting him in stuff. They stopped saying, Taylor Hitch, you be the lead of this after Battleship, and that was great. He had two shots. He had John Carter of Mars, and he had Battleship, and they were like, you know what, Taylor Hitch, we're gonna make you take a step back, and that's fine. He's been fantastic in the things he's done since. I thought, even though True Detective season 2 wasn't as good, I thought he was fine in that. He was great in Lone Survivor. I think he should be more of a Jeremy Renner.
I'm gonna make sure Jai Courtney gets in our tags here, so when people search for him, they'll see our show. I couldn't understand why I looked at him and I'm like, I don't like this guy at all. It's because I watched the movie Divergent, and he's like such an asshole in the movie, and the movie's terrible. I harbor a lot of bad feelings towards him. But
he's in the
Suicide
Suicide Squad, which is funny because I think he was gonna it was gonna be Tom Hardy, but then Tom Hardy stepped out, and then maybe it was him, but it might have been it was someone else. Okay, he's Captain Boomerang. That might be fun because Captain Boomerang's a stupid character. But yeah, he's been in all the things, even though they're all terrible.
He was in Jack Reacher.
Yeah, he was in I, Frankenstein.
Oh God. Yeah. Wow.
And it's I don't want to say he's terrible, but he was in The Water Diviner, and that was a pretty decent movie. I enjoyed that movie. He was in the first season of Spartacus, and he was fine in that. I mean, I'm not saying he's terrible, but stop putting him in movies, please, or at least stop making him the lead of all these movies.
Let's see if we can get him on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not him because we talked a lot of shit about. I mentioned Taylor Hitch, but John Carter could have been good, but they made a terrible movie, and maybe that's not his fault. And certainly, Battleship was never going to be a good movie. So maybe it's not him. Maybe it's just the choices. Maybe it's Jack. Because the Terminator Genesis, spelled with a Y, was never going to be good. So maybe it's not his fault. But it's easy to blame him for Terminator and A Good Day to Die Hard.
So
maybe he's just a human being like any one of us who's flawed and has his positives and negatives, and we shouldn't hold them to unrealistic standards of making terrible movies good.
I just wonder, it's not just his fault, right? If a movie sucks, there's a whole group of people.
Yeah.
It's like he's the kid at the group project. Maybe he's trying really hard, but the rest of the group sucks real bad. Do you ever do group projects in your class?
Sometimes the kids ask for them. I don't really see art as a group project, but they like to do it, so I try to make them.
So they don't like doing it, so you try to make them. That makes sense.
No, they want group projects. I don't like them, so I try to avoid them. But every so often I'll toss one in because they ask for them.
What kind of kid were you in the group projects, Ike?
I tried to be the one that didn't do the work. I knew who the smart kids were, and because I wasn't an asshole popular kid, I kind of fit in the smart kid group. So I knew when I was being played, when all the pop kids hey, will you come be in our group? I'm like, yep, I'm that kid. I'm the one who's going to do all the work. But I don't want to be that one because I'm the lazy one. So if I can find somebody who will do it for me.
See, I was kind of I was like a day walker. I was of both worlds because I'm smart enough to handle it, but nobody was ever like, Eric's a smart kid, because I was also lazy and I learned to do the minimum work possible. But I've always been a great performer, so group projects, especially with the presentational aspects, were always great because I could just bullshit my way through a lot of them and seem like I knew what I was doing. So I was like this weird in between walking that fine line.
Yeah, that's similar to the way I did it. But I own that. I would come in and be like, listen, I'm not going to do shit, but I know all you motherfuckers, you hate talking in front of people, don't you? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I love talking in front of people. So guess what? I'll talk in front of people. You guys do all the work. And I'm like, just give me the material by the day before. I'll be fine. And
Also-
every time from kindergarten through whatever years of college that I had, I just did it just like that, and it worked out great.
Yeah,
See,
and I was always good at like it was right around that time where putting like all the classrooms had TVs in their room and stuff like that. So I was always like smart of like, okay, a little bit of presentation, a clip from The Simpsons or something like that, just to like liven up. So it seems like I add some
Right, yeah.
audio visual elements to this performance.
I was also
Give
a
them
media kid
the
too.
old razzle dazzle.
If Eric and I were both on a group project, it'd have no content but a lot of pizzazz.
Yeah, it would be so snazzy, but have absolutely no substance.
If Eric and Ike were in a group project, how would it turn out?
I was trying to find my favorite group project I ever did, because it was a beautiful way to be this lazy as possible, was when I went to pre-college between my junior and senior year of high school. Went to RISD, and they're like, okay, here's the project. You have to come up with a scale model of a museum exhibit that you have to curate, and all the museum art pictures that you have need to be themed somehow. I'm like, holy, and like people like figuring out scale, like I hear other groups talk about scale models, and I had 3 other people in my group, and I'm like, this is a lot of work, like trying to figure out what, and I was like, I got it. Here's what we do. Because we're an art school, we ask fellow artists who go here for their work, and since the museum has to look like or have something to do with the artwork, we'll just use the classroom. So we don't have to scale down the work because we can use real stuff, and we don't have to make a diorama of what the museum would look like, because we can just put it here on the wall in the classroom, and there you go. And so the group's like, yeah, and the teacher totally bought it. We didn't have to do any work. Just went around asking people for their artwork to hang on the wall.
It's really smart. We did. I remember a group project like that where we were making a business, and everybody. I was late for class, and everybody picked their great businesses already, and so and then this other kid showed up late, and it was me and Clarence, and we're looking around. We're like, shit, everybody has all the cool businesses ideas already. What are we gonna do? So what we did is we made a company called the Macaval Mall, and it was just a mall that encompassed all the stores. So all we did is we went around and signed contracts with everybody saying we get part of their earnings. And the teacher, we had like the lamest project, because all we did is went around and we screwed everybody. And there was I remember this one kid, he was like, no, I'm not signing that. That's bullshit. You're taking my profits to get into your shitty mall. I don't need your advertising. I'm like, but you do. Everybody's coming here. This is where all the stores are at. And I can remember trying to like pull a fast one on him. I still remember the kid's name. Derek, he was a smart kid. I should look him up on Facebook, see if he's still alive.
He's the CEO of Google now.
Yeah, Derek, the CEO of Google. Yeah, everybody knows that guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to look him up, see what happens. Eric, do you have any one that sticks out in your head a little?
I remember, we were doing, we did a couple. I remember we did one on, I like philosophies, and me and my buddy Sean did Taoism, and we just decided, rather than presenting it, we shot a video, and it was because he had a camera, and then I spliced in clips from Stargate into it, and I was really big, and that went over pretty well, because we had this one real awesome gag that was we stole it straight off the internet and printed it, but it was like all these flags from around the world, and it's like pick any flag and then go down left, go to the nearest yellow, go right to the nearest red, and you go follow this path, and wherever you started, you always end up in the center. And we was like, that's Taoism, because of blah, blah, whatever the fucking reason was for it. And then we're like Winnie the Pooh, and like showing clips of Winnie the Pooh and stuff like that. And it was just it was the first time I ever got into video production and stuff like that. And I was like, this is I think that's kind of when I started to video production.
I want to hang out with this Derek kid. I just looked him up on Facebook. He's a lead technical art designer, and his background has Mega Man on it and stuff. That's a cool guy. he studied conscious righteousness at blah 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 blah. Like, he obviously made that up. But what a cool dude! I should be friends with him. Thanks, guys. Thanks for reminding me.
Hey, do you remember me? I was the one we did a project together back in grade school.
You wouldn't let me buy your company out from under you and then eventually wither away into my profits and my corporate enterprise? Oh, man.
Anyways, I think it's time we stop talking about all this bullshit and start plugging each other.
Oh, yeah.
I got a button on my hoodie that makes a laser noise.
Yeah, you look like Buzz Lightyear.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's Buzz Lightyear?
I remember one time I dressed up as a stormtrooper for Halloween, and I went to a lady's house, and she goes, "Are you supposed to be Buzz Lightyear?" And I hung my helmet down, I took it off, I'm like, this costume must really suck. She just realized...
You ruined my Halloween.
On Halloween, right? Like, come on, lady.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyways, you can always follow me on Twitter. I'm at Duncor, D-U-N-C-O-R. You can read my amazing tweets that are okay sometimes.
You can follow me on Twitter at JoeQCar on Twitter. Make sure to go check out those two shows that I did, the Hooniverse podcast and also the Smoking Tire podcast. I had a lot of fun. If you're interested in cars at all, that's great. But the Smoking Tire was especially not about cars, and we talked a lot about just terrible, awesome, fun things. So go listen to that. And yeah, thanks for all the new listeners that we have for guys that crossed over.
And you can find me on Instagram by doing #Master Roshi, and you can find me on there.
No way! You didn't do that.
Yeah, you can find me on there. I #Master Roshi myself and found pictures of me from other people at BlizzCon. There's not a whole lot of them out there. Granted, there's much more some others. There's one other Master Roshi. No, there are two other Master Roshis at BlizzCon. One was just a dude wearing a fake beard that's strapped around his head and like with no shell or with walking stick. And then there's another one that seems to be like he made it into the Boston Herald or something, but he had like a pillow for a turtle shell. And I ran into him at one point, and got my picture taken with him. He was like, "How did you do yours? This is how I did mine." And we had like a conversation.
How about you shut up? This is my.
This is how you really do it. I'm gonna beat you with my staff and hit you with my turtle shell. Mine's gonna hurt.
Oh shit! Before you know it, there's like spirit bombs and kamehamehas going off and Comic-Cons all over the country. I'm
first one to sexually harass a teenage girl wins.
Oh well, that's terrible. Thanks for ending the show on that terrible note, Eric. You're a great guy. And
you know what, Joe? Fuck off.
Oh,
I had one more plug. I'm gonna use this one for one more awesome plug, and if it doesn't make it, whatever. Because I just forgot about them, but they're so awesome, I have to plug them.
Is it Sick Vita?
No, it's Exploding Kittens.
Oh yeah.
The game. So here's my little side story as we fade out. This is the end where it like fades out and they're just sitting around the table talking. The kids at school, I've been letting them play with my Exploding Kittens first edition, and they ripped one of the cards. And so I put on Twitter, I was like, yeah, at Exploding Kittens, I'm like, yeah, I messed up, I was stupid, I brought my cards in, but my kids have been having a lot of fun with them, but they ripped one of the cards. They responded with, if you email us a copy of your receipt and a picture of the card, we'll give you a replacement. So I did that, and they're like, they said they'd send me another one, and they're like, hey, if you're running a gaming club, because I said I mentioned that was my gaming club, they're like, if you can get proof of that from your college that you're running a gaming club, we'll see about sending you some extra cards, like some new sets. And I said, oh, I'm a teacher at a high school and middle school, like I'm running the gaming club. They're like, oh, we'll send you two copies of Exploding Kittens complimentary for your gaming club. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
That's really cool. Well, thank you. What company is that?
Exploding Kittens. Just look up Exploding Kittens online. You'll find it.
It's a great game, and those guys are funny. And thank you guys so much for listening. But until next week, have a wonderful weekend. And I already told them to fuck off.
Yeah. Why are you being such a mean guy, Ike? Like, that's just not cool.
I had to sneak it in there. Well, again.
Little...
Guys, I did a whole show and my computer didn't crash.
And scene.